There's a herd of wild cattle in England that has lived completely isolated from humanity since the 13th century, and they still attack on sight. A cow the size of a large dog that produces milk richer than almost anything else alive. And a breed so genetically extreme that its double-muscled body looks physically impossible standing in a field. 15 cattle breeds, so mutant, so rare, and so completely unlike anything you'd expect that most people refuse to believe they're real. And number one, it produces the most expensive beef on the planet. And the science behind why will genuinely blow your mind. Let's go. Position 15. Chillingham. The medieval wild cattle that have lived in complete isolation since the 13th century and still attack humans on sight. In 1249, a herd of wild white cattle was enclosed inside Chillingham Park in Northumberland, England. A stone wall was built around them. And for over 700 years, not a single outside animal has entered that enclosure. 700 years of complete genetic isolation. No human intervention. No selective breeding. No veterinary care. Pure, unmanaged natural selection. Inside a walled English park. The Chillingham cattle stand around 4 feet at the shoulder, weigh between 600 and 900 pounds, and carry pure white coats with distinctive reddish ears. They live in a strict dominance hierarchy led by a king bull, a position fought for, held, and eventually lost through direct combat with younger challengers. What makes them genuinely extraordinary is their genetics. After 7 centuries of inbreeding so severe it would destroy most domestic breeds, the Chillingham has somehow stabilized into a functionally viable wild population. Scientists have studied them as a living model of extreme inbreeding survival. In 2020, a disease outbreak threatened to wipe out the entire herd, fewer than 100 individuals, prompting an emergency conservation response from the British government. Can you imagine cattle this wild still existing in England today? Have you ever heard of a medieval herd that never let humans get close? Comment below if you dare walk into that park. Position 14. Punganer, the Indian dwarf cow standing just 30 inches tall that produces the richest milk of any cattle breed on Earth. Picture a fully grown cow standing just 30 inches tall, roughly the height of a golden retriever. Now imagine that same tiny animal producing milk with an 8% fat content, nearly double what standard dairy cows produce. That's the Punganer, the world's smallest cattle breed by average height, and one of its most nutritionally extraordinary. Originating from the Chittor district of Andhra Pradesh in India, the Punganer has been documented in regional records going back over 300 years. It weighs between 100 and 150 pounds, less than most adult humans, and carries a compact, rounded body with a distinctively short face and large expressive eyes that make it look almost like a miniature cartoon version of a real cow. God packed extraordinary nutritional output into something this small, a biological miracle hiding in rural India. With fewer than 100 purebred individuals remaining today, the Punganer is classified as critically endangered by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. A state government preservation program in Andhra Pradesh launched in 2015 has slowly increased registered numbers. Would you have believed a cow this small could produce milk this rich? Can you imagine encountering a fully grown cow the height of a dog? Tag someone who would absolutely not believe this breed exists. Position 13. Mishima. The Japanese island cattle, so genetically pure they haven't mixed with another breed in over 600 years. Off the coast of Yamaguchi Prefecture in Japan sits Mishima Island, a tiny, remote island covering barely 19 square miles. And on that island, a small herd of cattle has lived in complete genetic isolation since the 14th century. No outside bloodlines, no imports, no crossbreeding. 600 years of pure, uninterrupted genetics on one small island. The Mishima stands around 4 feet at the shoulder, weighs between 500 and 700 pounds, and carries a compact, fine-boned body with a characteristically gentle temperament developed over centuries of minimal human contact. With fewer than 100 registered individuals alive today, It holds the distinction of being the rarest cattle breed in Japan and one of the rarest in the entire world. What makes it scientifically extraordinary is its genetic purity. Researchers have used Mishima cattle specifically to study ancient Japanese cattle genetics, their DNA providing a living window into what Japanese livestock looked like before modern crossbreeding changed everything. In 2018, the Japanese government officially designated the Mishima as a living natural monument, one of only a handful of livestock breeds to receive this level of national protection anywhere in the world. Can you imagine a breed this rare surviving on one tiny island for 6 centuries? Isn't it something that God kept this living genetic archive going this long? Share this with someone who thinks all Japanese beef comes from Wagyu. Position 12. White Park, the ancient British cattle breed that Julius Caesar described as sacred in his own military records. Julius Caesar encountered White Park cattle during his invasion of Britain in 55 BC and described them in his military journals as large white sacred cattle kept by the native Britons for ceremonial purposes. That's over 2,000 years of documented history for one single breed. The White Park stand around 5 feet at the shoulder, weighs between 1,100 and 1,600 pounds, and carries a striking pure white coat with distinctive black or red points on the ears, muzzle, and feet. That dramatic coloring, white body, dark extremities, remains essentially unchanged from Caesar's description 2,000 years ago. During World War II, the British government became so concerned about potential German invasion destroying this ancient bloodline that a small group of White Park cattle was secretly shipped to the United States for safekeeping. The Smithsonian Institution in Washington helped coordinate the transfer, treating these animals as irreplaceable living heritage. In 2021, a White Park bull at the Royal Highland Show in Scotland won Best of Breed, nearly 2,076 years after Julius Caesar first put this breed's description into writing. Isn't it extraordinary that a breed Caesar personally documented is still walking the earth today? Would you have guessed British cattle had a 2,000-year paper trail? Drop a like if the White Park is the most historically significant breed on this list. Position 11. Miniature Jersey, the farmyard powerhouse that produces full-size dairy output from a body half the normal size. The standard Jersey cow is already one of the world's premier dairy breeds. Now take everything that makes it extraordinary: the rich high butterfat milk, the efficient feed conversion, the docile temperament, and compress all of it into a body standing no more than 42 inches tall. That's the miniature Jersey, developed through selective breeding programs in the United States beginning in the 1980s. The miniature Jersey was specifically engineered for small-scale farmers, homesteaders, and hobby farms where a standard-sized dairy cow simply isn't practical. It weighs between 500 and 800 pounds, roughly half of a standard Jersey, yet produces between 2 and 4 gallons of milk per day, with butterfat content averaging 5% or higher. God packed full-size dairy productivity into half-size packaging and created one of the most practical small farm animals in the modern agricultural world. What completely surprises most people is that miniature Jerseys now command premium prices across North America. A registered miniature Jersey heifer in 2023 sold at auction in Texas for $14,000 for a cow that stands barely above waist height. Can you imagine a cow this small producing 4 gallons of rich milk every single day? Would you have guessed miniaturization could work this effectively in a dairy breed? Comment if the miniature Jersey just completely changed your idea of what a small farm animal can do. Position 10. Dexter, the Irish mountain dwarf that almost vanished and now feeds entire families from half an acre of land. By 1973, the Dexter had declined so severely it was placed on the Rare Breed Survival Trust's critical list in Britain. A breed that had existed for over 200 years was months away from commercial extinction. A small group of dedicated Irish and British breeders refused to let that happen. And today the Dexter is one of the fastest growing heritage cattle breeds in the English-speaking world. Originating in the mountains of southwestern Ireland in the early 1800s, The Dexter stand between 36 and 44 inches at the shoulder, making it the smallest naturally occurring cattle breed in Europe. It weighs between 600 and 900 pounds and comes in black, red, and dun colorings. Despite that compact size, it produces 3 to 4 times more beef and milk per acre than most standard breeds, making it the ultimate small farm efficiency machine. What makes the Dexter genuinely extraordinary is its dual-purpose capacity. It produces rich, high butterfat milk comparable to a Jersey and quality beef comparable to breeds twice its size. One animal, both functions, on half an acre of land. In 2019, a black Dexter bull at the Royal Welsh Agricultural Show sold for £17,000, a breed record that stunned the heritage livestock community. Isn't it something that Ireland's smallest cattle breed turned out to be one of its most useful? Would you have guessed something this small could feed an entire family? Keep watching, because what's still to come on this list is absolutely worth staying for. Position 9. Highland, the Scottish Ice Age survivor with 2-foot horns and a coat thick enough to survive minus 20 degrees. The Highland cattle breed has existed in the Scottish Highlands for over 1,000 years. And looking at one, you believe every bit of that ancient history. That extraordinary double coat, a long, shaggy outer layer over a dense, woolly undercoat, allows the Highland to survive temperatures down to minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit without additional shelter. No barn required, no supplemental heat, just standing in a blizzard looking completely unbothered. Standing around 4.5 feet at the shoulder and weighing between 1,100 and 1,900 pounds, the Highland carries those dramatically long, curved horns that can span over 2 feet tip to tip. It forages through snow using those horns like a plow, clearing ground cover to reach buried vegetation that other breeds simply cannot access. What most people don't realize is that Highland beef carries significantly lower cholesterol than standard commercial beef, a characteristic researchers attribute to the breed's active outdoor lifestyle and natural forage diet. God built a healthier product into the genetics of a breed that never needed to change. In 2022, a fold of Highland cattle in the Scottish Highlands was photographed standing completely motionless during a Category 1 blizzard, looking, as one wildlife photographer described, utterly indifferent to the entire situation. Can you imagine standing in a blizzard and genuinely not caring? Have you ever seen anything as dramatically shaggy as a fully grown Highland in winter coat? Tag someone who needs to see those horns and that coat combination right now. Position 8. Nguni, the South African painted cattle that sustained the Zulu nation for over 1,000 years. No two Nguni cattle share the same coat pattern. Spots, swirls, patches, and splashes of color. Every combination of brown, black, white, red, and cream imaginable. Each individual carrying a completely unique pattern like a living fingerprint. Found across southern Africa, the Nguni has been central to Zulu, Swazi, and Ndebele culture for over 1,000 years, serving simultaneously as currency, bride price, ceremonial sacrifice, and measure of social status. Zulu King Shaka amassed herds of tens of thousands of Nguni cattle in the early 1800s, their combined value representing more wealth than any other asset in the entire kingdom. A fully grown Nguni stands around 4.5 feet at the shoulder, weighs between 700 and 1,100 pounds, and carries natural resistance to tick-borne diseases, heat stress, and internal parasites that makes it the most environmentally adapted breed in all of southern Africa. What genuinely surprises researchers is the Nguni's extraordinary genetic diversity, its coat pattern variation being a direct expression of one of the broadest genetic pools of any cattle breed on Earth. In 2021, a South African conservation program successfully used Nguni cattle to restore degraded grassland ecosystems in KwaZulu-Natal. Their natural foraging behavior rebuilding soil health faster than any mechanical intervention. Isn't it incredible that God created a cattle breed where no two animals ever look the same? Can you think of another domestic animal with this level of natural pattern variation? Drop a like if the Nguni is the most visually diverse breed you've seen on this entire list. Position 7. Zebu, the ancient sacred cattle of India that reshaped tropical agriculture across 3 entire continents. Over 500 million zebu cattle exist on Earth today. 500 million, making it the most numerous cattle type on the planet by a significant margin. And yet most people in the Western world couldn't pick one out of a lineup. With origins in South Asia dating back over 8,000 years, the zebu is instantly recognized by that pronounced shoulder hump, large drooping ears, and loose pendulous dewlap, all biological features engineered by thousands of years of natural selection for extreme heat and humidity. Standing between 4 and 5 feet at the shoulder and weighing between 600 and 1,100 pounds, the zebu thrives in conditions that kill European breeds within seasons. Its sweat glands are 3 times more active than those of European cattle. Its skin produces natural oils that repel insects. Its metabolism runs cooler under heat stress. God built a complete tropical survival package into one animal, and then spread it across India, Africa, and the Americas. In Hinduism, the zebu remains sacred to over 1 billion people, walking freely through city streets in India with complete legal protection under multiple state laws. In 2022, a survey confirmed that zebu crossbreeds now dominate commercial beef production across the entire American tropics. Can you believe a breed over 8,000 years old still dominates global cattle numbers today? Isn't it something that God built the world's most successful cattle for the world's hottest places? Comment if the zebu's global dominance completely surprised you. Position 6. Ankole Watusi, the African king's cattle with horns stretching over 8 feet tip to tip. The Ankole Watusi carries the largest horn circumference of any cattle breed on Earth. A fully mature bull can sport horns measuring over 8 feet from tip to tip, wider than standard doorway, heavier than most people would believe a living animal could carry, and still perfectly balanced on a head built for exactly that purpose. Found originally across the Great Lakes region of Central Africa, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and Congo, the Ankole Watusi has been a symbol of wealth, power, and royal prestige for the Tutsi and Ankole peoples for over 1,000 years. Kings measured their power in the size of their Ankole herds. The most impressive bulls were kept exclusively for royalty. A fully grown Ankole Watusi stands around 5 feet at the shoulder, weighs between 900 and 1,600 pounds, and uses those massive horns as a natural cooling system. Blood circulates through the horn's honeycomb interior, dissipating body heat in temperatures that would stress smaller horn breeds. In 2017, a record-setting Ankole Watusi bull named Lurch was officially measured by Guinness World Records at a horn circumference of 38 inches, the largest ever officially recorded on a living animal. Can you imagine walking past something with an 8-foot horn span? Isn't it incredible that God turned horns into a biological air conditioning system? Tag someone who had no idea horns could be this large and still be completely functional. Position 5. Criollo, the Spanish colonial survivor that crossed oceans, conquered deserts, and built an entire hemisphere's cattle industry. In 1493, Christopher Columbus brought the first cattle to the Americas on his second voyage, Spanish Andalusian stock that would eventually spread across an entire hemisphere. 500 years of surviving deserts, mountains, tropical heat, and isolation from any outside breeding programs produced something completely different from those original Spanish animals. Something tougher, something leaner, something that could walk 30 miles between water sources without losing productive condition. The Criollo, meaning native-born in Spanish, comes in dozens of regional varieties across Latin America, from the longhorn-like Chinampo of Mexico to the compact Romacenuano of Colombia. Most stand around 4.5 feet at the shoulder, weigh between 700 and 1,200 pounds, and carry a lean, athletic build shaped purely by 5 centuries of natural selection in harsh environments. What makes the Criollo scientifically extraordinary is its heat and parasite resistance. Genetics researchers at the University of Florida have spent decades documenting how Criollo cattle maintain body weight and reproductive rates under conditions that reduce commercial breeds to 50% productivity. In 2020, a landmark genetics study confirmed that Criollo breeds carry unique DNA sequences found in no other cattle population on Earth, a direct biological record of 500 years of American adaptation. Isn't it something that Columbus's cattle transformed into something this extraordinary over 5 centuries? Can you imagine a breed shaped entirely by surviving conditions no European animal was designed for? Share this with someone who thinks all South American cattle are just regular cows. Position 4. Texas Longhorn. The American icon that survived the Wild West on pure stubbornness and still holds the world horn record. In 1867, cattle drives moving Texas Longhorns north along the Chisholm Trail were so massive that single herds stretched over 10 miles from front to rear. Hundreds of thousands of animals moved on foot, across open plains, by cowboys on horses, and those cattle walked that entire journey on their own 4 feet. The Texas Longhorn descends directly from those same Spanish cattle Columbus brought to America, shaped over 3 centuries of surviving the brutal Texas landscape without human assistance. It stands between 4.5 and 5 feet at the shoulder, weighs between 800 and 1,500 pounds, and carries horns that can span over 100 inches tip to tip on record-setting individuals. That horn span is not just impressive, it's functional. Longhorns use those horns as weapons against predators, cooling surfaces in summer heat, and social status indicators within the herd. God built a multi-purpose tool onto the head of an animal tough enough to use it. In 2014, a Texas Longhorn named Pancho Villa was officially measured by Guinness World Records at a horn span of over 120 inches, the longest horns ever recorded on a living steer. Can you believe cattle that survived the Wild West without human care still exist today? Isn't the Texas Longhorn the most purely American animal on this entire list? Just wait until you see the last 3, because we're finishing with something extraordinary. Position 3. Belgian Blue. The double-muscled European giant that looks like it never misses a day at the gym. The Belgian Blue doesn't look like a real animal, and the first time most people see one, they genuinely assume the photo has been digitally altered. Every single muscle group, shoulders, hindquarters, back, legs, is exaggerated beyond anything a normal bovine body produces. The result looks less like cattle and more like a living anatomy chart. And it happens because of a single genetic mutation that blocks myostatin, the protein that tells muscles to stop growing. The result is called double muscling, and the Belgian Blue carries it throughout its entire body. Developed in Belgium in the 1800s, this breed stands around 5 feet at the shoulder, weighs between 20 to 2,400 pounds, and carries a body fat percentage so remarkably low that veterinarians sometimes struggle to find accessible veins during routine procedures. Here's the fact that breaks everyone's mind. Because calves inherit that same extraordinary musculature, natural delivery is virtually impossible. Nearly every Belgian Blue calf born worldwide is delivered by planned cesarean section. The breed's defining genetic feature makes its own birth process medically impossible without human intervention. God clearly decided the rules of normal bovine development didn't apply here. In 2019, a Belgian Blue bull in France was independently valued at over $400,000 for breeding rights alone. Can you imagine a breed where surgery is just a normal part of every single birth? Isn't it wild that the most muscular cattle on Earth literally cannot be born naturally? Drop a like if the Belgian Blue is the most physically extreme animal on this entire list. Position 2. Yak, the Himalayan giant that keeps over 30 million people alive at 18,000 feet above sea level. Remove the yak from the Tibetan Plateau, the Himalayas, and the high-altitude grasslands of Central Asia, and over 30 million people lose their primary source of food, fuel, fiber, and transportation simultaneously. No other single animal sustains this many people in conditions this extreme. The yak stands between 5 and 6 feet at the shoulder, weighs between 600 and 2,200 pounds depending on sex, and carries a dramatically thick double coat. dense woolly undercoat beneath long outer guard hairs that hang nearly to the ground on some individuals, providing insulation in temperatures that drop to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. Its lungs and heart are physically larger than comparably sized cattle. Biological adaptations that allow efficient oxygen processing at elevations up to 18,000 feet, where the atmosphere contains roughly half the oxygen available at sea level. What most people never realize is that yak milk contains nearly twice the fat content of standard dairy cattle milk, producing butter, cheese, and fermented drinks that provide concentrated caloric nutrition in an environment where growing crops is essentially impossible. God engineered a complete survival platform and gave it the face of something ancient and magnificent. In 2023, a rare golden yak in Tibet sold at a regional livestock festival for the equivalent of over $80,000, considered an extraordinarily auspicious animal in Tibetan Buddhist tradition. Can you imagine a single animal being this essential to this many people at this extreme an altitude? Isn't the yak the ultimate proof of God's practical creativity? Comment if the yak just became the most impressive working animal you've ever learned about. Position 1. Wagyu, the Japanese living legend producing beef worth more per pound than almost anything else on Earth. In 2012, a single Wagyu steer at auction in Japan sold for $278,000. One animal, $278,000. And the beef it produced sold for over $300 per pound. But what makes Wagyu genuinely extraordinary isn't just the price. It's the biology behind why that price exists. The Japanese word Wagyu simply means Japanese cattle, but the 4 specific breeds it refers to carry a unique genetic predisposition to deposit fat inside muscle fiber rather than around it. The result is beef marbled so intensely with intramuscular fat that the muscle itself looks white, producing a texture so soft it dissolves rather than chews, and a flavor profile so complex that trained tasters identify notes of butter, nuts, and umami simultaneously in a single bite. A fully grown Wagyu, stand around 4.5 feet at the shoulder, weighs between 1,100 and 1,500 pounds, and requires between 28 and 36 months to reach market weight, nearly twice as long as standard commercial breeds. That extended timeline, combined with specialized feed programs and meticulous care, is what produces that impossible marbling. Japan protected Wagyu genetics so fiercely that export was essentially illegal until 1997. A small number of animals left before that window closed, and every Wagyu raised outside Japan today traces back to those few individuals. God built the world's most extraordinary beef into a breed nobody outside Japan knew existed for most of recorded history. Can you believe a single pound of this beef costs more than most people's daily wages? Isn't the Wagyu the ultimate proof that perfection sometimes takes 36 months and costs more than a luxury car? This is hands down the most valuable cattle breed God ever created, and there was never any other choice for number 1. So guys, which of these 15 cattle breeds blew your mind the most? From the medieval wild Chillingham herd that still attacks humans on sight, to the extraordinary Wagyu producing beef worth hundreds of dollars per pound. Every single breed on this list is proof that God's engineering never stops surprising us. Whether it's the Ankole Watusi's 8-foot horns, the Belgian Blue's impossible musculature, or the yak keeping 30 million people alive at 18,000 feet, the natural world always has something more extraordinary waiting to be discovered. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss what we bring you next. Comment below which breed surprised you the most. Your feedback shapes everything we create here. And if you haven't watched our last video yet, birds so different they look like they're from another world, go check it out right now. The link is in the description and on screen. You will not regret it. The animal kingdom never stops amazing us. Until next time, guys, and thanks so much for watching.